It all started with a book. Not a message, not a lipstick stain, not some cliché like that. A book, just sitting there on her nightstand like it belonged. Pale green cover, kind of worn already, with a sticky note poking out the top. I picked it up out of curiosity while I was folding laundry one night. Boundaries in Marriage. Now, that kind of title makes you stop. Not Tips for Communication or How to Be a Better Partner. No, boundaries. Like someone was putting up fences, closing gates. I didn't jump to conclusions. I mean, come on, we've been married 17 years. We've got 2 kids, a mortgage, Christmas traditions, inside jokes. You don't just assume something's wrong because of a book. Still, I asked. We were brushing our teeth, both of us standing in front of the mirror. She was wearing that old faded college t-shirt I love, the one that somehow still made her look 22. What's this book about? I asked, tapping it lightly as I walked past. She didn't flinch, just glanced at it and said, real casual, "Oh, my therapist recommended it." I turned. "You're seeing a therapist?" "Yeah," she said, swishing mouthwash. "Started a few months ago." A few months? That word, months, sat heavy in my gut. I hadn't known. "You didn't mention it," I said, trying to keep it light, not come off accusatory. She spit, rinsed. I thought I did. She hadn't. "Everything okay?" I asked. She smiled, that same calm smile she always used when she wanted to keep something from me. "Yeah, just working through some stuff. It's nothing to worry about." I nodded. Said, "Good. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself." And I meant it. I really did. But still, I didn't sleep well that night. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing little things. She was different. Subtle at first. Her phone, for one, became a permanent fixture. Always in her hand, or face down on the table. Always locked. Even though she used to joke she had nothing to hide. She started using words she never used before. Things like emotional labor and space to grow. Not in a dramatic way, just here and there. Like she was rehearsing someone else's language. I told myself to be reasonable. Everyone changes. People grow. We'd been together nearly 2 decades. Of course things evolve. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel off. There were nights she came home late from her sessions, claiming traffic or errands afterward. One time, I swear I smelled cologne on her coat. A kind I didn't own. I didn't say anything. I just made a mental note. Then came the week she went to that wellness retreat. Some kind of self-care weekend her therapist suggested. She said it was for grounding and inner clarity. 3 days at a cabin with no kids, no calls, no texts, just reflection. I stayed home with the kids, made pancakes, helped Liam with his science project, took Lily to piano. We kept it together. But that whole weekend, I felt like someone had taken a bite out of me, and I couldn't tell where the wound was. When she came back, she hugged the kids first, then gave me this soft smile and said, "I feel so much lighter." She never mentioned details. Just said she journaled a lot and did breathing exercises. I wanted to ask, was anyone else there? A group? A guide? Was your therapist with you? But I didn't. I didn't want to sound paranoid. A few nights later, we were sitting on the couch. Kids were in bed, TV on but muted. She was scrolling on her phone, laughing softly at something. I looked over and said, "You happy, Ness?" She looked up, caught off guard, I think. "What do you mean?" "I mean us. This life. Are you happy?" She smiled. "Of course I am." "What?" "No reason." I lied. "Just wondering." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "You're a good man, Aaron." That's what she said. "You're a good man." Not, "I love you." Not, "I'm lucky to have you." Just, "You're a good man." It felt like someone handing you a ribbon for a race you didn't know you'd already lost. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while she slept beside me. And I kept thinking about that book, Boundaries in Marriage. I kept wondering what her therapist looked like, what his voice sounded like, if he was the one teaching her all these new words, this new language. And I kept thinking, when did I stop being the person she opened up to? When did she stop needing me to feel lighter? The next day, I did something I'm not proud of. I went into her car while she was in the shower. She always left her purse in the passenger seat. I wasn't sure what I was looking for. Maybe nothing. Maybe just proof that I was wrong. But I found something. A card. A simple white business card tucked into the side pocket of her purse. It said, "Dr. Ryan Caldwell, LMFT, Couples and Trauma Recovery," in fine print, "helping you reclaim your narrative." And on the back, written in her handwriting, "Tuesday, 11 a.m. Private session. Don't forget to breathe. Private. Not our session. Just hers. Just her and Ryan Caldwell. And somehow, that felt worse than anything. I don't know why I kept the card. Maybe part of me thought I'd forget what it said, or convince myself I imagined it. But no, I slipped it into my wallet, right behind my Costco membership, like it was a receipt I'd need to pull out later. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Tuesday, 11 a.m. Private session. What kind of therapist sees married women privately, same time, every week, without involving the husband? And more importantly, what kind of wife doesn't tell her husband she's seeing another man every Tuesday morning? I'd never met this guy. Didn't even know his name until I read that card. But suddenly, Dr. Ryan Caldwell was living rent-free in my head. It wasn't jealousy. Not really. It was discomfort. Gut level, bone-deep discomfort. The kind you can't explain without sounding crazy. But something about it just didn't sit right. That weekend, I tried to bring it up. We were having coffee on the back deck. Birds chirping, sun rising slow, the whole cliché. Vanessa was flipping through a magazine, her bare feet tucked under her on the chair like she didn't have a care in the world. I took a sip and said, "You still seeing that therapist?" She looked up, blinked. "Yeah. Why?" "Just curious. You haven't talked about it much." She gave this little half shrug. "I don't want to bore you with all the therapy stuff." "You wouldn't," I said. "I mean, if it's helping you, I'd like to understand it." Her eyes lingered on mine just a second too long. "It's private, Aaron. It's for me. To work on some of my patterns." "Patterns," I repeated. "Yeah," she said, looking back down at the magazine. "Stuff I picked up over the years. You know, people-pleasing, avoiding conflict, not speaking up, things like that." I nodded slowly. "And Dr. Caldwell helps with that?" She stiffened, just a little. "How do you know his name?" "You left his card in your purse," I said. "It fell out when I grabbed your sunglasses the other day." "Lie. But a small one. Wide enough to keep the peace." She didn't respond right away. Just kept flipping the pages, like she was waiting for me to change the subject. "Is he good?" I asked. "Yeah," she said quickly. "Very professional. Really insightful." Too quickly. I stared into my coffee, watching the steam rise. "You ever think about us doing a joint session?" She laughed, not a big one, more like an uncomfortable exhale. "I think that defeats the purpose. These sessions are to help me focus on myself. And we're not part of that?" "Aaron," she said gently, "please don't make this a thing. Therapy is supposed to be a safe space." I nodded. "Right. Safe." And that was the end of it. For her, anyway. But not for me. Because now I had a name, a time, and a day. And like it or not, Tuesday at 11 was circled in my brain like it was finals week in college. That Tuesday, I didn't go to work. I called in sick. First time in years. Told my supervisor I was feeling off, maybe something viral. He wished me well. I hung up and sat at the kitchen table with my car keys in hand and a stomach full of cement. I didn't have a plan. Not really. But I knew I needed to see something with my own eyes. I dropped the kids off at school, made sure Vanessa had left for her appointment, then waited 15 minutes and followed. Google said Dr. Caldwell's office was in a renovated house just outside downtown, part of one of those upscale wellness centers with leafy plants, neutral paint, and vaguely spiritual music playing in every hallway. I parked across the street and watched. At 10:58, she pulled in. Silver Honda. Her favorite sunglasses on. Hair tied back like she was going to yoga. Calm. Effortless. She got out, smoothed her shirt, and walked up to the front porch like she'd done it a dozen times before. No hesitation. The door opened. And there he was. Tall. Mid-40s. Hair a little tousled like he didn't care, button-down shirt rolled at the sleeves. Clean-shaven. Calm face. Looked like the kind of guy who always remembered to make eye contact and smell like eucalyptus. He smiled. Big. Warm. She smiled back. Touched his arm. Just lightly. But it was there. That touch. He stepped aside, let her in. She brushed past him, and he closed the door behind them. And I just sat there. I didn't move for a long time. Just stared at that door like it might open again and reveal something, a mistake, a misunderstanding, a version of reality that didn't feel like a punch in the gut. But it didn't open. Not for 58 minutes. At exactly 12 o'clock, Vanessa walked out alone. No hug, no kiss goodbye. Just her, adjusting her purse strap, walking to her car like she'd just picked up a prescription. But the thing is, people can hide a lot in 58 minutes. Especially when they're meeting behind closed doors. especially when the only witness is a couch and a notepad. I followed her home at a distance, not close enough for her to notice. She pulled into the driveway, got out, stretched like it had been a long session, and walked inside. 10 minutes later, I walked in too, through the front door like I'd been home the whole time. She was in the kitchen, making tea. "You feeling better?" she asked, smiling. "You look tired this morning." I nodded. "Yeah, just needed some rest." She kissed me on the cheek, and I stood there, trying not to flinch. There's something weird that happens when you know someone's lying to you, but they're doing it with a smile. It's not the words, those can be rehearsed. It's not even the story, people can keep one straight if they care enough. It's the tone, that lightness, like nothing's wrong. That's what got to me. Vanessa was back to making smoothies, doing yoga in the morning, planning Sunday brunch with her sister, like our whole marriage wasn't quietly shifting under my feet. Like I hadn't just watched her touch another man's arm outside his office. The worst part? I still loved her. I didn't want to. I really didn't. But I'd watch her tie her hair up while folding laundry, or hum to herself while cooking dinner, and some part of me, the dumb, loyal part, would think, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's nothing. I wasn't wrong. I started noticing things. Tiny things. Tuesday mornings? She dressed just a little nicer. Not fancy, not obvious. Just intentional. Perfume she hadn't worn in years. A soft pink lipstick I hadn't seen since our anniversary in San Diego. And always back home by 12:30, like clockwork. She said therapy was making her more in tune with herself. That she felt clearer. Like she'd been foggy for a long time, and now things were clicking. I asked her what that meant. What exactly was clicking? She said, "I'm learning where I end and others begin." Which sounded like something printed on a decorative pillow. I just nodded. Glad it's helping. Because what else could I say? I couldn't confront her, not without proof. Not without looking like a jealous husband who didn't support her growth. But I started keeping track. Tuesday, 11:03 a.m., her car in the parking lot. Tuesday, 12:02 p.m., her walking out, sometimes with a little bounce in her step. Once, I saw her fixing her lipstick in the mirror before she pulled away. That one hit hard. I went to work that afternoon and couldn't focus. My hands trembled on the wrench. I dropped a socket and it rolled under a car. One of the new guys asked if I was okay. I lied. Said I was just tired. That weekend, her phone buzzed while she was in the shower. Now listen, I've never been that guy. Never snooped, never checked her messages. I always figured trust meant not needing to. But trust had started feeling like something stupid people bragged about right before getting cheated on. So yeah, I checked. Nothing dramatic. No, I miss you or last night was amazing. Just a name. Ryan Caldwell. And a message. Appreciate what you shared today. Stay grounded. You're doing the work. Doing the work. I guess that's what they call it now. It made me sick. Not just because of what it meant, but because of how careful it was. No obvious affection. No crossing any lines. Just enough to make it seem innocent to anyone who might peek. But I wasn't just anyone. I was her husband. That night, I asked her again, "You sure everything's good between us?" She smiled, leaned over, kissed me on the forehead. "You worry too much." And just like that, she rolled over and went to sleep. And I laid there staring at the ceiling fan, counting the slow, mechanical turns. 14 a minute. I counted for an hour. A week later, I saw them. Together. Not at the office. Not on Tuesday. It was Thursday. I had left work early, union meeting got canceled, and decided to swing by the grocery store. I turned the corner into the cafe section, and there they were. Ryan Caldwell. Vanessa. Sitting across from each other in one of those little two-person booths. He was leaning forward, listening like he was the most emotionally available man in the world. She was smiling. Not the polite kind. The real kind. The kind she used to save for me. There was no touch this time. No big smoking gun. Just comfort. The kind that only comes with time. They weren't strangers. I stood there for a full 10 seconds before I turned around and walked out. Left the cart, left everything. Drove home with both windows down, like I needed the wind to scrub the whole scene off my skin. I didn't tell her I saw them. Not that night. That night, she came home late. Said she stopped by her sister's place. I nodded. Cool. How's Rachel? She's good. We just talked, drank a little wine. Sure. I kissed her on the cheek and said goodnight. And that was the moment I decided. I wasn't going to play dumb anymore. I needed answers. Real ones. Not the ones she thought I could handle. It was raining that morning. Not hard. Just steady. The kind of rain that taps against your windshield like a nervous finger. I hadn't planned to follow her. I really hadn't. But she left earlier than usual. Said she had a double session. Something about unpacking childhood dynamics. She said it like she was going to the dentist. Like she wasn't walking into the same building I'd already watched her leave a dozen times. Lighter, looser, like someone shedding weight they didn't plan on carrying back. But this time, she packed a change of clothes. Said she was hitting the gym afterward. Didn't take her gym bag. Just a small tote. I waited 15 minutes, then grabbed my keys. I didn't feel angry. Not yet. Just cold. Like my brain was walking ahead of my heart, trying to protect it from what we both knew was coming. I parked a block away. Didn't rush. Didn't even feel my hands on the wheel anymore. Just watched the windshield wipers go back and forth like they were counting down to something. It was a private house. Converted office. Nothing fancy. 2 stories. White trim, wraparound porch. Real cozy. Real safe space. She went in through the side door. I waited. 10 minutes. 15. Then I got out and walked around the back. Quiet shoes. Hoodie up. The rain helped. No one noticed. There was a side window, partially covered. Slats angled just enough for light. Just enough for me to see. I didn't want to look. But I did. The blinds didn't cover everything. And that's when I saw it. A flash of bare shoulder. Her hair down. His hand, not where it should have been. No session. No clipboard. No therapist's chair. Just the couch. And them. It was slow. Intimate. Not rushed or frantic like some guilty affair. This was practiced. Familiar. He was holding her. Stroking her back. Whispering something into her neck. She laughed. Soft. Private. Like he'd told an inside joke. Then she climbed onto his lap. I stepped back. Not in anger. In shock. You ever walk in on something and feel like time hiccups? Like you're frozen, but your brain is sprinting through every memory you thought was safe? That was me. I turned away and leaned against the siding, rain soaking through my jacket. I thought about our wedding. Our first apartment. Liam's 3rd birthday when the cake collapsed and she made it look like a volcano on purpose. I thought about every lie wrapped in a kiss. Every, I love you. That was followed by Tuesday mornings. And I realized I wasn't the husband anymore. I was the character in her past. A soft, steady place she'd outgrown. I don't know how long I stood there. But when I finally looked again, the lights were dimmed. The couch empty. They'd moved. I walked around back. The rear staircase led to a private entrance upstairs. Door was old. One of those flimsy deadbolts you could pop with a credit card. I didn't. I knocked. 3 slow taps. Then silence. I waited. 10 seconds. Then the door cracked open. Just a few inches. Her face. Wide-eyed. Hair messy. Shirt buttoned wrong. Erin. My name came out like a question, like she couldn't decide if I was real or a memory. I looked past her. Saw the couch. The rumpled blanket. A pair of shoes that weren't mine. You left the garage open, I said. Thought you forgot something. She didn't blink. Didn't move. Just held the door like it was the only thing holding her up. Then he appeared behind her. Shirtless. Calm. Like he did this every day. And maybe he did. He didn't flinch. Didn't say a word. Just looked me dead in the eye, like I was the patient now. Like I was the problem he'd already diagnosed. I didn't yell. Didn't hit him. I just said, "You're her therapist." He nodded, like that word meant something different to him. I turned back to her. You slept with the man who was supposed to help you fix things. She opened her mouth. Closed it. I nodded. Right. And then I walked away. I got in my car. Drove 3 blocks. Parked in a church lot. And just sat there. For a long time. My hands didn't shake. My voice didn't crack. But I felt something snap quietly inside me. Not a break, more like a shift. Like the moment you stop hoping someone will explain. And you finally, fully understand. They already made their choice. She didn't come home until almost 9. I said nothing at first. Just sat at the kitchen table with a lukewarm cup of coffee and the day's mail unopened. She walked past me, dropped her bag on the chair, and headed to the fridge like it was any other night. Didn't know therapy involved changing your shirt afterward, I said. She folded her arms. Defensive. Okay. Fine. You saw it. Congratulations. You want me to say it out loud? I slept with him. Is that what you want? No, I said quietly. What I want is honesty. For once. She took a deep breath. It happened. I got close to someone. I crossed a line. I'm not proud of it. But it wasn't some grand betrayal, Erin. I didn't plan it. It just happened. I finished for her. The same way gravity just happens. The same way a storm just rolls in. I was vulnerable, she said. And he understood me in ways you haven't for years. I smiled, but it wasn't friendly. He understood your boundaries because he taught you how to move them. Convenient. Then I said the part one hadn't said yet. The one thing I needed to hear her admit. Was it just him? Silence. I watched her face. The micro-expressions, the stutter in her breath, the way her lips curled inward. No, she whispered. I leaned back in the chair, like something in me had just quietly snapped. How many? She didn't answer. How many, Vanessa? Her eyes filled, but I wasn't falling for the tears this time. 3, she said finally. Before him. I let that sit in the air. 4. For men. For betrayals. Each one tucked between soccer practices, dinner plans, and Amazon orders. Do I know them? One of them, she said. Sort of. He used to be on the HOA board. Of course. That smug guy who always made too much eye contact at neighborhood barbecues. The others? She said they were from work. Sales reps, conference flings. I didn't ask for names. I didn't need to know who they were. They could have been mannequins, for all I cared. What mattered was this. The person I shared a life with had been living a different one, just beneath the surface. And she still came home every night like nothing was wrong. I didn't love them, she said, as if that changed anything. It wasn't about that. Then what was it about? She didn't know. Or maybe she just didn't want to say. After a minute, she finally said, I felt invisible, and they made me feel wanted again. Invisible. The word rolled around in my mind like a marble in a jar. I looked right at her. I've stood by you for 17 years. Held your hand in delivery rooms. Paid the mortgage. Painted the bedroom you picked out. And I'm the one who made you feel invisible. She didn't respond. I stood up. I want you out, I said, voice steady. By the weekend. Aaron, I'm not negotiating. I'm not arguing. I just want space. Real space. Her eyes widened. You're throwing away 17 years over. No, I said, cutting her off. You threw it away. I'm just setting it down. I left the kitchen, walked upstairs, closed the bedroom door behind me. And for the first time in months, I let the silence in. Not as an enemy, but as an ally. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to plead. But I was going to think. And plan. Because now the gears were turning. Not to win her back. Not to fight for a marriage that didn't exist anymore. But to make sure she'd never forget what she lost. I didn't want revenge. I wanted precision. Something quiet. Lasting. Something that would sit in the back of her mind the way her lies had sat in mine. And suddenly, I had an idea. You don't really know what you're capable of until you're betrayed quietly. Not with a gunshot, but a whisper. Not in fire, but in fog. Vanessa thought the storm had passed. That I'd just process it all and move on like a reasonable adult. That I'd journal, or take up hiking, or see my own therapist. And that's exactly what I let her believe. The morning after our conversation, she came downstairs, dressed for work like nothing happened. Business casual skirt, coffee in hand, her hair pinned like always. You want me to pick up groceries later? She asked. I didn't even look up from my laptop. If you've still got a key, might as well make yourself useful. That was the tone I used for the rest of the week. Dry, indifferent, unfazed. And it worked. It made her relax. Or at least lower her guard. By Thursday, she'd started making small talk again. By Friday, she left a bottle of wine on the counter like it was a peace offering. As if a decent Cabernet could reverse years of lying. She thought I was calming down. But I wasn't. I was preparing. Step 1 was the locks. I changed them Friday evening while she was still out with a friend. It cost me $112 and 20 quiet minutes. By the time she came back around 9:30, key in hand, the front door didn't budge. She knocked once. I opened it slowly, like I'd been waiting for a pizza. Her eyes narrowed. Did you change the locks? I did. Why? Because the man who used to live here died last week. And the new one doesn't leave keys under the mat. She blinked. Didn't know what to do with that. I stepped aside. You can come in. This weekend is the deadline, remember? She walked past me, stiff, quiet. Head high, but not proud. Just stubborn. I didn't follow. I went back to my desk in the den, pretending to work. What I was really doing was step 2, collecting. See, the thing about someone who betrays you emotionally, they get used to being the narrator of their own version of events. But I had something she didn't. Receipts. Not the metaphorical kind. The actual kind. Over the years, I'd set up the household account she used for her work travel. And guess what she never bothered to check? Email notifications. Every Uber. Every hotel confirmation. Every wine bar. Every Thursday night business dinner that ended in a charge at a boutique hotel she swore she'd never stayed in. I started printing. Quietly. Sorting them by date. Highlighting locations that overlapped with her little connections. One of them had left a Google review for the same B&B she visited last spring. The one she told me was just yoga and hiking. The only thing stretching was the truth. By Saturday morning, I had a folder. Not dramatic. Just clean. Neat. Labeled. Vanessa, timeline of honesty. I slid it into the drawer. Not for confrontation. For leverage. Step 3? Legal clarity. I called Janet. Janet is my cousin. Divorce attorney. Smart as a whip and twice as sharp. She always said, people lie. Documents don't. I told her everything plainly. No emotion, just the facts. Dates. Evidence. Patterns. She listened quietly, then said, you have grounds. You also have leverage. Now the question is, what do you want? I didn't answer right away, because I didn't know yet. What do I want? An apology? Pointless. To hurt her? No. That would make me like her. What I wanted was for her to live with what she did. Not just remember it, carry it. Everywhere. So I told Janet, I want full custody of the kids. I want the house. And I want her to realize she bet against the wrong man. She said, done. Step 4? Performance. That night, after the kids were asleep, I invited Vanessa to sit down. Calm voice. Neutral face. She sat across from me at the kitchen island, same place we used to play cards. She thought I wanted closure. Instead, I slid a manila envelope across the counter. What's this? She asked. I didn't speak. Just let her open it. Receipts. Screenshots. Hotel logs. An itemized list of where she was, when, and what lie she told me to cover it. Her face didn't fall. It shattered. You went through my accounts, she whispered. No, I said. Ours. The ones I opened. The ones you used. The ones I paid for. She swallowed. Tried to speak. I cut her off. There's a copy with my lawyer. Another with a neutral third party. You'll get served next week. I've already filed. Tears started. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. You're not the victim here, I said softly. You're the lesson. And just like that, she finally understood. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I documented. That was step 5. And the best part? She never saw step 6 coming. Because step 6 wasn't for her. It was for him. Revenge is noisy. Consequences, those are quiet. And I wasn't interested in revenge anymore. I was interested in results. Vanessa was out of the house by Sunday evening. She tried to hug the kids on her way out, but they were stiff, unsure, asking quiet questions like, why aren't you sleeping here tonight, Mom? She gave vague answers. I didn't interfere. The truth would land on them eventually, slowly, gently, the way heavy snow bends a branch. But I had a different truth to handle first. Dr. Ryan Caldwell. I didn't want to confront him, not in person, not in public, not with fists or threats. I wanted him exactly where he thought he was safest, behind his license. So Monday morning, I made a call to the Board of Behavioral Health, and I asked one question. What's the process for reporting inappropriate relationships between a licensed therapist and a married client? The voice on the other end got very careful, very fast. Do you have documentation? She asked. I said, yes. And I did. I'd already created a duplicate file. Not just the hotel receipts, but timestamps, calendar overlaps, screenshots of text messages, and even one photo of them at a small-town wine bar on a Thursday when she was supposedly on a client call. But the key was her own handwriting. In the corner of one of the receipts, she'd scribbled, R. Thursday. Don't forget. Wear the blue shirt. R. Ryan. The man who once smiled at me with a therapist's concern and a thief's confidence. The board asked for a written statement. I sent it. Every detail, every document. No rage. Just facts. Clean and cold, like a ledger. Within 3 days, I got an email. We've initiated a formal review. The clinician in question will be placed under provisional evaluation. Do not contact him directly while the case is open. Perfect. I didn't need to call him. I needed him to sweat. And while the board reviewed his license, I sent one anonymous letter, just one, to his practice partner. Not accusatory. Just informative. You may want to confirm whether Dr. Caldwell is observing ethical boundaries with his married clients. especially those who schedule regular one-on-one sessions on Tuesdays at 11. A formal complaint has been filed. I'd suggest reviewing your liability exposure. I signed it. A concerned husband. I don't know if the partner read it. But 2 days later, Ryan Caldwell's photo disappeared from the practice's website. By the end of the week, the office voicemail just said, due to staffing changes, some appointments may be rescheduled. Vanessa didn't mention it, but she looked rattled when she picked up the kids Friday afternoon. Makeup half done, that forced smile she used when the ground under her feet shifted. She didn't know what was happening yet, but she could feel it. The air had changed. Meanwhile, I stayed calm. Went to work. Ate my lunches. Cleaned the garage. Normal things. The kind of things people do when they're done being blindsided. But inside, I was focused. Precise. You see, Ryan hadn't just crossed a line. He'd used his office, his license, as a cloak. A place where Vanessa could rewrite reality and be told it was healing. That wasn't therapy. That was grooming. That was manipulation dressed as mindfulness. So I wasn't going to shout it from rooftops. I was going to let the institutions do what they were built to do. Enforce. Quietly. Formally. Because when you break a man's house, you deserve to lose the roof over yours. And when Vanessa found out, she'd have to live with the fact that the man she left her marriage for lost his career because of her. I didn't need to say a word. I just needed her to watch everything fall apart, one quiet domino at a time.